So Hisuian Samurott was a massive upgrade from the regular boring old Samurott in terms of competitive. Gaining the dark typing on top of water, along with upgrading its attack and speed a bit at the cost of losing some defenses, there's actually a couple other reasons why Hisuian Samurott sits at the top of ranks compared to its zero usage Enovan brother. And that would be basically Ceaseless Edge shenanigans. This is a 65 power stab dark move that sets a layer of spikes on the opponent's side with each hit. With entry hazards being a staple, the value being able to set up spikes while doing damage made our Narwhal friend an absolute game changer for the meta pretty much immediately. 65 power would be kinda useless if it wasn't for its ability Sharpness. This gives it a 50% boost to all of its slicing moves. And Ceaseless Edge, well, Ceaseless Edge definitely be slicing. With the boost, this all of a sudden becomes one of its best dark options in general, and luckily for us, Sharpness helps out with other moveset options like Stab Aqua Cutter, which becomes 105 power before stab, and even comes with a high crit chance. Sacred Sword is a 90 power fighting move that gets the Sharpness boost along with ignoring the target stat changes, which is crazy. And then we can throw in Flip Turn for a nice little pivot option. We slap on a Choice Scarf in this bad boy and we're able to outrun essentially everything we need to. And today, it's time to get real sharp on some people. The question is Hisuian Samurott or Hisuian Scamorott? Today we're going to take ourselves a little look. Unless a Helmet Great Tusk switches into your turn 1 Ceaseless Edge, you're going to have a pretty good time. This is just a guy that always provides really good value on the team, and spikes are just super easy to set up, especially when you can spam them with huge damage. Plus, Sharpness is one of my favorite new abilities that's just really cool to use, and if you'd like to join me on my quest to create a spotlight of every single Pokemon ever, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And with that, let's jump into the match. Alright, so as my opponent decides to lead off with a straight up God of Thunder, I've got a coffee table. Your boy is flat, but I'm kind of liking this matchup because first of all, I'm thinking they probably just Volt Switch. So I'm kind of free to set up my Stealth Rock. I know I can live any attack. Turns out they do click Thunderbolt, so we endure that with the Sturdy. And now I'm feeling pretty confident that we can get this Avalugg to provide some early value. So we get up our Stealth Rock first of all, which is good. And then you're thinking, all right, well this thing, I'm slow and nearly dead. But that's where you would be wrong. I can now activate my Custat Berry being in Pinch Berry range. I can now pull out the surprise priority. And I also connect on a Mountain Gale, which is sick because now that is a surprise knockout on the Thundurus. And that's really nice early. That's a huge fast threat. It was Life Orb. That thing hurts. And now Avalugg is like, you thought you were fast? Not faster than the table. And just like that, we grab ourselves a little bit of an early lead. So the bad news is this. As they are able to go into Great Tusk, I know they're going to try to knock me out with a Rapid Spin while I'll be also being able to get rid of my Stealth Rock in the process, but I am like, you know what? I don't do this often, but I'm going for it. I'm going to pull out the Terra Ghost on the boy because I know surely this thing's going to click Rapid Spin. If this does not click Rapid Spin, I will probably just turn my switch off. But they do. They go first. They're able to click the Rapid Spin, but now that just goes straight through me. And not only do we get the spin block, but also now I can go for another Mountain Gale, hit it with a big super effective hit, do huge damage. But also, yeah, it doesn't do enough. I mean, it's honestly kind of surprising that I was able to hit 2 Mountain Gales. I think that's it's 85 accuracy, which basically means there's an 85% chance for it to freaking miss. But we hit 2, and then as they're able to finish me off with an Earthquake, I do kind of, I used my Terra there at the cost of, I guess, just keeping my Stealth Rock up. But I get a huge amount of damage on the Tusk to the point where I'm not really afraid of what this thing can do to me. So I decide I'm going to try to go Flygon. I'm working with this special attacking kind of weird throat spray Flygon, but I also figure I can outspeed, I can go for an Earth Power, and that's going to knock out the Tusk. So just like that, we're up, not able to knock out 2 pretty big threats, and they're probably like, okay, special Flygon. Buddy's weird. Look, if you want to see more of this Flygon, I recommend you check out the Flygon video. This thing is cool. So also, as they're now going to go Corviknight, I'm thinking maybe Defog. In general, I'm not really afraid of what Corviknight can do to me, so I'm going to hit it with a Bug Buzz that basically heals the guy, which is fine because I'm just doing it for my throat spray. Now my breath no longer smells horrendous, and I kind of like when people opt to switch into Corviknight versus the Flygon because I just have Flamethrower, and after a throat spray, it's gonna roast and toast the guy. So they do go for the defog. Sadly, they do end up getting rid of my Stealth Rock, which is fine. I'm now going to be able to go for the Flamethrower, and as they do stay in, it doesn't do as much as I thought. Look, special attacking Flygon, but he needs some help. But I do get the burn, however, which is always something I forget that it can even happen, because now as they go for a Drill Peck, especially opting for less damage for no recoil with instead of Brave Bird, it doesn't do anything because it's freaking burnt, and I'm like, yo, Flygon might be kind of going crazy here. The goggles are strapped on tight, and I can go ahead and toast him once more with the Flamethrower. So that's going to be able to take care of the Corv. And also, I do believe Flygon is faster than everything they've got left. I'm like, is Flygon about to go crazy? They go into their arguably, you know, better dragon. They go high dragon here, but it is going to be a little bit slower. So I know I can get a nice little bug buzz here. I'm hoping this does enough to be meaningful. It doesn't do anything. It literally lives it with over half. And then they can finish me off with the Dragon Pulse. So I'm like, all right, Flygon, the throat spray gone, it was not your day. But, you know, sometimes that's the way it goes. But look, here's the situation. Now knowing that they no longer have the Corviknight, that's the best answer for them to be able to stop the Hisuian Samurott. So I'm like, you know what? It's time to go into the water, baby. The Water Otter is ready to go. And I can outspeed the thing, little surprise Choice Scarf, and then boom, slice all 3 heads off with 1 sharp sword. And that's going to take care of the High Dragon. So while Hisuian Samurott is looking like I'm pretty well positioned, the bad thing about being Scarf, while I do obviously get the free kill there, is that now Ceaseless comes in and I'm forced to swap here. I do not want this thing to set up and get super out of hand. But the main thing is that Samurott should be able to come back in, lock myself into Aqua Cutter, and we are going to be decently okay. Or Ceaseless Edge for that matter. But I'm going to go Swampert here just to kind of see. I'm also afraid that they haven't gone for their Terra yet. Whenever there's a looming Terra in the back pocket, it's going to be scary. So as they do go for the Swords Dance, I'm a little bit frightened. I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be the sharp one over here, but it turns out this thing is looking a little sharper. Now, they are going to end up going for the Terra here. As I kind of expected, it's going to be able to allow them to live something like an Earthquake. It's going to be the Terra fighting. And I'm like, all right, put the fist on its head, buddy's looking ridiculous. But Swampert's kind of my bulkiest guy. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to take an attack because now, with the Terra fighting, I'm looking like I'm not going to be able to hit the thing super effectively with Samurott. And as they go for the close combat, boosted by the Terra, that just straight up deletes my Swampert. So I'm like, all right, well, Pert just came in. But he just punched to death immediately. That's kind of, it's not a good battle for the Pert. But at this point, I'm looking at this thing frightened. I'm like, all right, so first of all, it could be Focus Sash. You know, they were pretty adamant about wanting to get rid of hazards. I'm like, one thing I can do to be able to at least, first of all, break a Sash, but also get enough chip to where Samurott can hopefully clutch it out for us, is go Tentacruel. Now, they are going to be able to go for the Shadow Snake. They go with a priority there to be able to outspeed. I'm actually not max speed on this Tentacruel. I am technically faster, but it is, if it's running max speed, it's going to be faster than me. We get a little bluff there, but now as they go for the close combat, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to kill me. First of all, punching a jellyfish got to be a weird sensation, but also, it's fine. I got the Sledge Wave off. We were able to get some chip there, and now it's looking like Samurott's going to be able to hopefully, you know, be able to come in here, outspeed with a Scarf, get some big boy damage, finish off the Ceaseless, and then we're looking, it's honestly looking pretty scary. All I have left is going to be Porygon 2. And in the back, their final mon is going to be Araquanid, which is frightening because I'm forced to lock myself into Aqua Cutter here, being kind of, I can't really go Sacred Sword, then, you know, the freaking Bubble Guy is going to be able to take that anyway. But I go for the Aqua Cutter because, honestly, clicking that always feels pretty good. Having that high crit chance is always nice. Anyway, they are going to end up saving the Ceaseless. They can't go for any priority. They know that I'm Choice Scarf at this point as Aqua Cutter. Araquanid's big ass makes me look miniature for some reason, which is weird. Araquanid, the thing is massive. What the hell are they feeding that damn guy? But also, you know, I'm stuck in here. I also know that I go down to any bug coverage, so I'm forced to go Porygon 2. And we got ourselves a little bit of a shootout here at the end. I do come in with Porygon 2. I'm going to get a physical attack raised, which is not ideal. And Buddy's going to pull out the late game Sticky Web, which is scary. That's going to now make, essentially, Samurott no longer has a Choice Scarf. And that's not ideal. Now as they go for the Pounce, that's going to drop the speed of the Porygon, which obviously doesn't matter. This Porygon's built to be I'm a Trick Room Sweeper anyway. So as I go for the Charge Beam, thinking I can get myself some nice chip and then maybe a special attack boost, I do of course miss, because that's just what this Porygon does best. I'm not going to lie. Now as they go for the Liquidation, does get the defense drop, and I'm like, Jesus, I may be getting beat up by this spider, but luckily I do at least get off another Charge Beam here, which is great, or at least one Charge Beam. I get the special attack boost, and then I'm like, okay, slowly, we're doing our Porygon 2 thing over here. I live attacks easily. Even with the defense drop, I can take another Liquidation. That's why Porygon 2 is the damn GOAT. I can go for another Charge Beam. However, the bad news is it doesn't have enough to knock out the Araquanid, and this spider is becoming more of a problem than I was anticipating. They can finish me with one more Liquidation. I'm about the most liquefied rubber duck on the planet. And now we've got ourselves in a 1 versus 2. My final mon gonna be the Hisuian Samurott, and I need this thing to clutch it out for me hopefully here. So, I go Samurai, and the good thing is this. Obviously, Araquanid's slow as hell. I get caught up in its Sticky Web, But that's going to essentially just get rid of my Choice Scarf, which is fine. I'm now at neutral speed. I can go for an Aqua Cutter, and we did enough chip with the Porygon to the point where the Aqua Cutter is going to be able to take care of it. We do get the crit now. Of course, you get the crit every single time. It doesn't matter. But that is a dead spider. And not only that, but their final mon being that Ceaseless, it's terrifying. But it luckily has enough chip to where an Aqua Cutter should be able to do it. And the fun part is this. We got ourselves a good old-fashioned speed tie, boys. I'm able to win the speed tie. And Aqua Cutter is going to come in extremely clutch. And that is going to be able to take care of the Ceaseless and be the end of the game there. Both base 85. The Sticky Web was a really good 50-50 chance for them to be able to close combat and win it. But the Hisuian Samurott is too damn clutch. And it's actually kind of fun. We didn't even click Ceaseless Edge that entire time. But sometimes you don't even need it. Those are the exact kind of games where you get so much more value out of the Samurott than you think you're going to. A Stab Aqua Cutter with Sharpness just does... is super clutch. So look, that's gonna now bring us into game number 2 because we're not quite done yet. Also, look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, go ahead and do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. And with that, let's jump into the game. All right, so as it's a beautiful day on the beach, Buddy decides to, there's not enough snow on this wonderful beach day. They decide to go with the Alolan Ninetales, which is annoying. Gonna set up the snow, and as I lead off with the Hisuian Samurott here, I'm thinking first of all, I am in danger of a Moonblast. But then also what I'm thinking is, you know what? Surely this thing's gonna click Aurora Veil, and I can go ahead, I can expect that. So I decided to go for the Ceaseless Edge because that's gonna be able to set up a nice little free spikes while also getting a little bit of chip on the thing, and I know that I'm pretty much safe. 99% of the time this thing's clicking Aurora Veil, expecting a switch. So as they do Aurora Veil, Samurott luckily does not get blasted by the damn moon into oblivion. So now I realize, alright, my ass is definitely about to be sent to the Shadow Realm via Moonblast, so I decide I'm forced to switch. I decide to go into Tentacruel here, because honestly, Assault Vest Tentacruel, while you could potentially have gone for the Freeze Dry there, it doesn't matter. I'm wearing a vest. I don't know how the hell a jellyfish wears the vest, but I got it on. I got that shit on, and I'm going to be able to take an attack nicely. And Moonblast doesn't do much. It does drop my special attack, and now they're like, I'm going to try for a little Freeze Dry. Does nothing. Freeze Dry jellyfish, crunchy, but doesn't matter. I'm able to go for the knockoff, kind of thinking maybe they swap there. As they do stay in, it's still really good to get the knockoff and be able to get rid of the Light Clay. Because next time, Aurora Veil is going to really stop what I'm able to do. The defensive boosts are going to be annoying. But now at least next time it's only going to stay out for 5 turns. So here's the thing. I go for the Sludge Wave. It turns out they swap into Manaphy. And that literally didn't do a damn thing. I do not get the poison, and as it's able to just eat some leftovers, things looking pretty healthy and also tiny. You gotta pull out your damn binoculars to see the guy, but it's over there, I assure you. And I am faster at least. So I decided to go for the knockoff here. I'm thinking this thing probably tail glows, but also what I'm thinking is if there's anybody on my squad that wants to deal with a tail glow Manaphy, it's probably Assault Vest Tentacruel. We're naturally especially bulky. This jellyfish just takes attacks. But then I'm like, okay, as it tail glows, it's surely just gonna tail glow again, and behind the light screen with a special attack drop, my Sludge Waves are going to do nothing. So I'm kind of forced to make a little move here, and here's the plan. I'm essentially, what I'm going to try to do is get as much chip on the guy as possible. And as I go Avalugg, it doesn't really look like the safest bet, but here's the thing I'm trying to do. I know that I have Sturdy, so I can take an attack from the thing, no problem. And then I can get at least guarantee 2 Earthquakes off before I go down with the Custap Berry. But as they click Acid Armor, I'm like, holy shit, this thing's just going to continue now to get to +6 defense. And I am in a little bit of trouble versus the Manaphy here. But check it out. I go for another Earthquake. It does nothing. And now, as the Aurora Veil goes away, my plan is this. They can set up all they want because I have the Samurott with the Sacred Sword in the back. And if I can get just enough chip to the point where I can ignore those defensive boosts and then just have enough to knock it out anyway, that's kind of my best bet here. But as I go for another Acid Armor, I Earthquake, and then I get the critical hit, which is one way of stopping just crazy setup. And Avalugg, the boy Flat Stanley, is getting some value. So while I do feel kind of bad, I was willing to give up Avalugg there to be able to just Sacred Sword with the Samurott. So we don't even need to do that. And now as they go Scizor, if that was not enough setup, for now they're going to go freaking Swords Dance Scizor. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, this thing is frightening as well. But I do at least set up my Stealth Rock here. That's going to be pretty nice. And also knowing that I do still have Sturdy intact, I'm going to be able to at least chip the thing. And Scizor setup isn't like super frightening as long as I can get enough damage on the guy. Now, as they go Iron Head, I'm hoping please do not flinch. I do live it with Sturdy because we're that dude, and Bertha does not flinch. Luckily, now we're able to fire off a little Earthquake. There's no more Aurora Veil. That's going to do nice damage. And while I do have the Custap Berry for priority, if it clicks Bullet Punch here, it is going to go first with that. It is just going to have higher priority than my Custap Berry because I'm naturally slow. So realizing I have one tucked, I'm going to keep that Custap Berry tucked in the old back pocket. I realize I can go Tentacruel here to maybe be able to live 2 Bullet Punches. And as it goes for the first one, it's looking like, this next one's going to be able to take care of me. So it just shoots my jelly. There's jelly all over the damn battlefield. And down goes the Tentacruel. So we are now staring in the face of a setup Scizor that, you know, at least I have 2 guys that I'm not super afraid of Bullet Punch. First of all, Samurott, even with the Swords Dance, does not care about a Bullet Punch here. I'm almost thinking that they might end up swapping. So as much as I want to just like Ceaseless Edge or Aqua Cutter here, I decide to go for the flip turn. It turns out, however, I overpredict. I was kind of thinking it would be like a good middle ground play because it's like, if they swap, I get position, but then if they stay in, I'm thinking maybe I grab a kill there. Unfortunately, it does not grab a kill, and what's even worse is that now I put it in Lychee Berry range. It now gets an attack boost, and now I'm staring at a much more frightening Scizor. So I'm like, Jesus, okay, well, I have 2 options. Either I go Avalugg there to just let it go down, or I go Swampert. And Swampert just comes in on an X Scizor, slices my ass up, and that's going to be an easy 2-hit KO. So honestly, look, clicking flip turn there was not a good move. I should have certainly not done that. But as now they're able to finish me off with a Bullet Punch, down goes Swampert. I have essentially clicking flip turn there, just give up a pert, which you hate to do. So, you know, down goes Swampert, but as everything's looking very afraid of this Scizor, it probably has close combat for Porygon too. I'm like, well, the best thing I can do is go back into the freaking water and finish the job. So, you know, and again, even with +3 now, I'm not worried about a Bullet Punch. It does go for that priority, and it ends up doing less than half, which I'm like, hell yeah, Samurott, you're not known for your defenses. This thing's base defense is 80, but I can finish it off. Down goes the Scizor, and as I go for the Aqua Cutter there, now I got myself a fast water. So one thing we know for sure, my opponent really wants to set up and sweep my ass. And I am afraid, especially of these damn mice. Because it comes in, it does get a little bit destroyed by the hazards here, but looking at this, I'm like, you know what, I can outspeed and go for an Aqua Cutter. And one way of being able to stop this thing from going for a Tidy Up is to straight up just pull out the Terra Water. I'm going to boost up Aqua Cutter as much as possible to ensure that this entire family of mice goes straight up, just slice the hell up. And as I put the fountain on my head, I'm able to outspeed, first of all, and then a stab Aqua Cutter with Sharpness, with the Terra. That is going to delete all 4 of them at the same time. So that's actually really nice. Had they been able to get up a Tidy Up there, that's pretty much game. The thing just straight up deletes everything with Population Bomb. But no longer do we have to deal with that. And Samurott saves us from some inevitable, embarrassing mice death. So now as they end up going into Uxie here, one thing is, freaking Lemonhead, this thing's defensive. I don't really want to go for an Aqua Cutter. Also because of the fact that I know that they still have their defensive Terra. And surely it's going to come out eventually. As I decide to swap into the Flygon here, it turns out they are just going to go for that Terra. I was thinking I could come in, take an attack, surprise some stuff with like a little Bug Buzz super effective hit, and then be able to drop some Dracos and do some damage. I just need damage on this Uxie before anything. Now, it turns out they do go for the Terra Grass. And as Flygon comes in, I'm met with a Giga Drain, which is a little bit annoying. The Terra Grass is honestly good to see, though, because that means that now, no longer any surprise shenanigans, and I also still have a little super effective hit with a Bug Buzz. But I'm now worried that this thing's going to do like enough damage with something to knock me out. So I want to get as much value as possible. And as I go for the Flamethrower, I do get some nice chip, but then as they Dazzling Gleam, Flygon kind of eats it up. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, Flygon. That's pretty damn impressive right there. Bug Buzz is kind of an optimal play at this point. I probably should have Bug Buzzed first to be able to get that Throat Spray. I was kind of expecting Flygon to have a Uxie death, but I now can go for the Bug Buzz. It is still going to be a super effective hit. I get this Bidef Drop, which is sick, but then also get that Throat Spray. And Throat Spray Flygon, this thing, it's not going to be looking good here. The problem is a big egg-sized bastard in the back. They have the Blissey, so I'm like, setting up with this thing wasn't really optimal anyway. So Flamethrower with just a little bit bigger damage was why I went for that first. It turns out though, as they go for another Giga Drain, Flygon lives it. Flygon is living more attacks than this thing has ever seen before. And I'm like, that's what I'm freaking talking about. I also realized that Blissey kind of comes in for free. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They realized, this, for whatever reason, but I'm using a freaking special Flygon, so like there's no reason not to go Blissey here. But honestly, as long as I got that damage on the Uxie, I'm feeling like that's relatively fine. So, as I go Flamethrower, in comes, now we got some overcooked eggs. And nobody wants no burnt eggs it does take a little bit of damage, especially with the hazards. And it turns out to be red card Blissey. It's going to now force a swap, which ends up kind of helping me. Because I'm like, you know what? Forcing me to switch into anything else is probably better than Flygon. And it is going to end up drawing in the Avalugg, which is sweet. Because now I'm like, hell yeah. I've been saving Buddy with its 1 HP. I can now go for the Custat Berry priority, able to go for a Mountain Gale. And it doesn't miss. I'm able to throw some crazy-ass Icy Rocks, and that's going to be a dead Blissey, which is amazing. Because now, you know, I mean, that thing just doesn't switch in for free and sponge stuff up. And now they're down to 2 Mons left. So obviously they've got the Uxie. And now since I've used my Custat Berry up, that's, you know, not ideal. Because now I'm just going to get outspat and killed by a Giga Drain. Good thing is I only have 1 HP to steal. So you're not going to be able to get super healthy, Mr. Flowerhead. And down goes the Avalugg. But still, Avalugg, this thing provides way more. I'm having a lot of fun with this fella. So, you know, down goes the Flat Boy. And now we've got ourselves in a spot where I'm thinking, okay, my win condition could very well be little Samurott action late game. I can come in, I can obviously outspeed Uxie. While it gets a little bit of leftovers there, it's a bit frightening. This thing is still relatively healthy, and one thing we know about Uxie is it just never, this thing doesn't die. It has base 130 defenses, but as I go Samurott here, I'm thinking, if I can Ceaseless Edge and grab a kill here, we're looking pretty nice. Now I go for it, we edge him ceaselessly, pause, and it lives with like 3 HP. It ends up living, which is incredibly annoying. I was really hoping for a kill there, and now they're able to go for the Giga Drain, and things just got a whole lot more interesting. It does finish me off with the crit, doesn't really matter. It gets some health back, and now I'm like, gee, okay, that's not ideal. So one thing for sure is that I'm running low on options. What I have left is a Flygon that's on the brink of death, and then I have Porygon 2. Now Porygon 2 is gonna have to be my win condition. Also Uxie way more healthy than I would have liked it to be at this point, and I'm kind of forced to go Porygon 2 here. Now their final mon in the back is gonna be the Alolan Ninetales, but luckily with that extra Ceaseless Edge spikes and the hazards we already have up, I'm feeling relatively confident. So we go Porygon 2 here. I can take attacks from Uxie all day, and one thing that's different about this Porygon 2, shout out to the Porygon 2 video if you haven't peeped it already, it's a Trick Room set, and we're here to be a sweeper rather than just like the usual kind of more defensive one. So as I come in, I take a Giga Drain like nothing even happened. I can then go for the Trick Room, which is amazing, because that's even going to be able to allow Flygon to outspeed the Alolan Ninetales if somehow anything bad happens to this Porygon 2. So I set up the Trick Room first just to guarantee that we're going to have the speed priority. Now I'm able to go first, I can fire off a Tri-Attack, and this thing is much better suited to, apparently trained on the special side, or the physical side. So the special attack's going to be able to finish off the Uxie, which is sick. And now final mana is going to be that Alolan Ninetales. And I'm like, you know what, Porygon 2 is not a bad guy to save for the end here. The late game Porygon 2, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So it comes in, Alolan Ninetales gets destroyed, was not wearing its booties, and it just sets up a little bit of snow, just to ruin everybody else's beach day around here. I can now outspeed with the Trick Room up, and a Tri-Attack is going to be able to finish off the Ninetales, and I thought that was just an interesting game. It came right down to it, and we're able to squeak out the dub with the Porygon 2. So that was just a very interesting game all around. Came right down to the end there. So we love ourselves a close one, and it's not going to quite be the end. I've got one more bonus match, and if you've stuck around this far into the video, first of all, thank you. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. But also, it's time to mess around. This team has so many just random shenanigans it can get up to, and Hisuian Samurott is kind of the backbone of the squad, really the insurance policy of the squad. And with that, let's jump into it. So this time, my opponent's going to lead off with the Tauros. Now, the good news about a Tauros lead is that, you know, I'm an Avalugg, and I don't really care. The bad news is you never know exactly what a Tauros is going to do. It can kind of do a lot. Now, it turns out it goes right for the Iron Head, and since I'm 4 times weak to that, does not matter how sturdy this table is. It hurts, but luckily, at least I don't flinch, so, you know, that's a silver lining, and that allows me to set up my Stealth Rock. And what's also kind of nice is that I do get put into Custap range, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use it. The theme of this thing is to surprise people being fast, and as I go for the Mountain Gale, it misses. So priority Mountain Gale miss is always a great way to start the game. And now I died to another Iron Head, so, you know, Avalugg sets up some Stealth Rock and then pieces the hell out, and now I got to figure out something else. Now, who actually looks really nice in this matchup is going to be the Iron Hands. It doesn't seem like they have a whole lot that wants to switch into this thing, and while they can potentially just have Earthquake, I should be able to take at least one of them, and then the good part is, after I get my booster energy, a Drain Punch kills, and then I get like most of my health back. So I'm going to go punching in a draining fashion. Turns out they are going to end up swapping, Save the Tauros for later. Tauros is kind of a problem. I love the Cantonian Tauros, the goat. So, they are going to end up switching into Blaziken. It's going to be Air Balloon. Does not matter. We pop it with our big-ass fists, and it lives the Drain Punch. Now, the good thing about this is, again, they don't have much that wanted to switch into the Iron Hands, and if they want to use the Blaziken on it, I'm totally fine with that. And as they go for a Swords Dance, that's even better, because, I don't know, I'm just staying in and just clicking damage. I go for another Drain Punch. Swords Dance is, you know, not helpful there. It's going to end up knocking out the Blaziken, and then just like that, we take care of one of the, at least the scarier setup threats. So, at this point, again, I'm still at +1 attack, and Iron Hands is feeling pretty good with our big-ass, we got 6 fingers, and we're here to party. So, as they end up bringing in not the Diddler, they go for a Hypnosis, which is also, first of all, shout out to my dude for using Hypno, but second of all, Hypnosis does hit, and now I am in a little bit of a bad spot. So I don't know what this thing wants to do, really. If I'm them, I probably start setting up, but honestly, my thick ass does not really care. They can hit me with, like, a Psychic is kind of what I'm thinking, but I'm just going to stay in here and scout out what this thing is going to do. Shiny Hypno is crazy, by the way. So I do obviously take my turn of sleep, and now as they set up another nasty plot, I'm realizing I'm in a little bit of trouble versus Hypno. Not a whole lot because the thing is slow, but I do wake up, which is sweet. Allows me to get off a Thunder Punch, and sadly it does live. So, you know, at this point, I'm like, I might as well just stay in here. I don't know what it wants to hit me with. Turns out stored power just deletes me, and that's honestly, I'm gonna let Buddy have that one. The stored power Hypno is sick. Now, one thing that's good for me is that, yeah, I did get a huge amount of damage on the thing, and Hypno is about as slow as hell. So I can go into pretty much anything I want here. And I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to go Flygon. It's going to allow me to outspeed, get off a nice little Bug Buzz, activate the Throat Spray in the process while grabbing a kill. It's not often that Flygon's able to grab a knockout with the Bug Buzz. So I'm going to take that opportunity anytime I can get it. And this team is specifically designed to get these more kind of weird sweepers going first. And then Samurott in the back, while it's not generally meant to be the star of the show, that just ends up being the case a lot of the time. So I get the knockout with the Hypno, and now as Tauros comes back in, I'm looking at this thing thinking I probably grab a kill here at +1 Draco Meteor. They are going to be able to outspeed, however, and luckily for me, a Body Slam does not kill, and I don't get parried, which allows me to then fire off a nice little Draco. We drop a Draco on that ass, and that's going to be a dead Tauros. So that feels pretty good. While Flygon grabs a nice couple of knockouts here, the bad thing is that Flygon's speed tier at base 100 is generally, you know, pretty good, but the problem is, as they bring in freaking Electric Donphan, this thing, if it's running max speed and a plus speed nature, it's going to be faster. Turns out, though, it does have Quark Drive. It's going to get a speed boost. And the sad thing about being, you know, knocked down to red is that a Rapid Spin will be enough to not only take me out, but also, you know, get rid of my Stealth Rock and give this thing another speed boost if Buddy wasn't fast enough. So, you know, the Iron Treads is scary, and I'm now down to, just like that, 3 mons left. But it's looking like Samurott is going to be pretty valuable here. Now, the reason why I didn't go into Samurott earlier is because the main thing they have to be able to stop it is going to be a Zapdos. And a defensive Zapdos is a bit of a problem. But I should be able to take any attack from Iron Treads here, so I can go for an Aqua Cutter. And with Sharpness, it just does so much damage. So it is going to end up baiting in the Zapdos, which is why it's really sad that I didn't get my Stealth Rock to stay up. But judging by that damage, even after leftover recovery, check this out. It tells me it's probably not fully defensive Zapdos. And I need all the momentum I can get here. So instead of switching, I'm going to end up staying in, going for the Terra Water. I put Terra Water because Aqua Cutter ends up being this thing's kind of most reliable damage. And with the extra boost from the Terra, not a lot wants to deal with an Aqua Cutter, especially considering that there's a high chance for it to get a critical hit anyway. So I go full Fountain mode. And Hisuian Samurott is going to go ahead and slice him with some water. Not sure how the hell that's going to end up. We must be like one of the crazy powerful jet. Regardless, that's going to end up knocking out the Zapdos. And that's the main defensive thing I was worried about with being able to go into Samurott freely. And then we just get the 2-hit KO. So forcing the hard switch in on the Zapdos was great. I do have to commit my Terra, but I'm mostly fine with that. So, you know, being locked into Aqua Cutter, I am kind of forced to switch against a Meowscarada, which sucks, but I can at least go into the Tentacruel here and potentially take a couple attacks. Now, to my surprise, though, they go for the Trick, which is not something you see every day when it comes to Meowscarada. And it turns out to be Choice Specs. Tricks me as Specs, and I'm like, well, actually, you know, it kind of could be worse. While, you know, Tentacruel now is going to go full offensive Tentacruel. So here's the thing. I decided to go for Surf. And that's because I predict a switch into the Treads. But as they just stay in, they go for a Dark Pulse, probably meant there to just get some surprise special damage with the specs if they don't trick it. Now I surf the thing and it doesn't do it. It doesn't do shit. So, you know, now they can go for the Flower Trick, which does end up obviously getting the crit. But I do live one of them, and I'm like, you know, at this point, I'm just going to continue to surf because this chip damage is going to put it into a point where Samurott is likely going to be my win condition here, considering the treads no longer can come back in and get its booster energy. Scarf Samurott is feeling like it's going to be pretty clutch. So that is going to be able to take care of the Tentacruel, sadly. Now I'm down to a Chimecho and a Narwhal. And I'm going to go into the Otter. And if you thought it was over, it's not over. It's Otter. Right? And at this point, I am going to go for the Aqua Cutter here. I figure, you know, with Stab, or the extra Stab from the Terra, it should be enough to kill the thing. It does knock out the Meowscarada, which is extremely clutch, because now locking myself into Aqua Cutter, as their final mon is going to end up being the Iron Treads. This thing is about allergic to water. So it comes in, it is full health, mind you. But I can now outspeed being Scarf and go for a big cutter, but they do still have a Terra. They're going to go for the late game Terra, which is just about the scariest thing to see. But luckily, it turns out to be Terra Ground, which the Bowl Cut is not going to save you. I'm actually going to be able to cut that up for you. Call me a barber, because we're going to give you a nice fresh cut. I'm able to outspeed with the Scarf. Shout out to Scarf Samurott. And then an Aqua Cutter is going to be able to take it out. So they likely probably were just like, if they are able to outspeed, boosted damage with an Earthquake would be able to take me out, and the Chimecho can't do a damn thing. But Samurott on top, Aqua Cutter is going to be able to take it out, and that is going to be the end of the game. So Samurott generally tends to be kind of like my late game sweep win condition, and it's just super fun to use. So that's going to do it for the game, and it's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate all the support. And hey, if you've got anything interesting you want me to use, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll probably get around to it. And with that, I'll catch you next time. Peace out.